and deca. Up to deca, we have the count. They can be more than that, but we have a count till deca because deca contains 10 rotors. Okay, so a quadcopter, basically when we are talking about a quadcopter, so we know from the word quad, four, copter means the rotor and the propellers. So there are the four rotors and four propellers. It can be a formation of this X, or it can be in a formation like this plus. Okay, two formations are possible, X and plus. Okay, so apart from this, the basically the advantage of the quadcopter is like the advantage of all the copters, as I told you: vertical takeoff, vertical landing. Okay, it can hold a position in air, it can go left, right, it can go forward, and it can also come back like that. So those are the some advantages of quadcopter. Okay, now talking about the block diagram, which is very important, and you can just write down the block diagram if you are planning to make a quadcopter in future. So you can just note down this block diagram, guys. So basically in the center, there is one power distribution board. So things which are in center, I am telling you. So if there are the four arms of a quadcopter, you might have seen a quadcopter in various movies. So beta, in center, there is a power distribution board. Then your battery is there, your flight controller, the brain of the quadcopter, the thing which is going to control entire quadcopter, flight controller, and the receiver, radio receiver. So basically you are sending some signals, and you are sending it from your controller, and it has been received on the drone. So the thing which is receiving it on the drone, that is called receiver. So all these things are there in the center of the drone. Then there are these four arms. In the center of each and every arm, there is the electronic speed controller, ESC, and at the corners there are those four motors. Okay, so this is the block diagram. That's how your quadcopter should be. These four things should be in the center, then ESCs in the middle, and that at the edges there are these motors. Okay, so basically we are going to cover each and every part one by one. Each and every part, ESC, motor, and your flight controller, okay, propellers, everything we are going to cover, battery, everything we are going to cover in today's session. Okay, so talking about, first of all, talking about the flight dynamics. So as I told you, so normally beta, there are the four forces acting. There are the four forces acting on anything which is moving. In fact, on us also, when we are moving, four forces are acting. First, lift, thrust, weight, and drag. Okay, so just remember, in whichever direction you are moving, the thrust is opposite to that. Okay, weight is downwards, that is dragging you down, and lift is something that is pushing you up. Okay, so four forces are acting. In airplanes, they are acting in different directions. In case of drones, they are acting in separate directions. Directions are not same in case of drone and in case of airplane. They are different. And how are these forces acting? We are going to discuss this also in our session today. So this is something very important that you should concentrate on. So when I'm talking about, okay, so when I'm talking about copter orientation, so what do I mean by copter orientation is like, let's assume this is a quadcopter. Okay, let's assume this as a quadcopter. Okay, so we can assume on four edges we are having four motors. Okay, and this is the whole body of a quadcopter. Fine. So when I'm talking about roll, so how does the roll take place? Roll take place like this, like this. This is rolling, rolling of a drone. Okay. So what is the benefit of rolling feature? Rolling helps your drone to go right or left. So you can just write it down if you want to write down that rolling helps your drone to go left and right. Okay. Then there is a feature called pitch. So pitch is like this, like this. This this function, if you bend your drone like this in midair, this is called pitch. Now, what is the benefit of pitch? Pitch helps your drone to go forward, and then it helps to go drone backward. Okay. So with the help of pitch, your drone is going forward and backward. Then when we talk about yaw, So yaw is something in which your drone will rotate on its axis. When the drone will rotate on its axis, this type of a function is called a yaw. Okay. So in case of yaw, your drone is going to rotate like this on its axis. Okay. So these are the three main things that you should keep in mind, that these are the three main orientations of quadcopters. So if you know how to control these three orientations, you can fly your drone very, very, very easy. Okay. So moving ahead, quickly talking about few applications of the drone, and most of the application you have already seen in your life lifespan, and you might be seeing in lots and lots more other applications apart from this. So talking about some applications over here. So filming. So earlier the shots which used to be, the shots that has to be taken from the air, they used to take it with the help of helicopters. So there was a helicopter, there was a pilot, there was a camera, there was a cameraman, and there are lots and lots of fuel required. And if you were not able to take one shot, then the time taken to land the helicopter, to check the shot, then again to fly the helicopter, to again the take the shot, it was, you know really pathetic condition. As soon as the drone came in, so drone don't need a pilot, not even a very high amount of fuel is required. Camera is already connected to the drone. Only one person is required to fly the drone and to control the camera. You can retake the shots as many time you want. It is very easy to take off, to land, and to check things whatever you want to do. So you can imagine, so there might be 10 different jobs required earlier to take the air shot. Now only one job is there, the job for the person who know about the drone. That's why drone is very important. Drone is going to take jobs of lots and lots of people, and only those people will be having job in future who are skilled in these type of technology. So that's why these technologies become really very, very important for you. Okay. So filming, agriculture, we are spraying pesticides on big large farms using drones were used in to also to fight, your natural disasters like fire and all. So we are going to talk about this and rescue. Like in first aid, there are air ambulance. So how do air ambulance work? Like if you are stuck in a traffic, ambulance is stuck in a traffic, and there is any accident, and the ambulance wants to go over there. So what they do, they send a drone with a camera. Drone reaches over there. Drone is having a first aid box, and there is enough accessories in those first aid box required to counter that situation. Okay, so with the help of that camera, a doctor is sitting. He'll suggest, and till the ambulance is reaching, you can do something at least using that first aid kit with the help of that drone. That's how these air ambulances are working. Similarly, they are working for the rescue. In defense, I already talked about the movie Uri, and many things we are doing using drones in defense. Then delivery, you might have heard that this Swiggy and Zomato got approval from the government to use drone to deliver food items at your home using drones. The navigation, like police, army, these people are using drones for the purpose of navigation and surveillance. So by the help of a drone, you can just take a drone on the top. You can map the whole area, you can map the entire area, and just by mapping it you can predict that okay, what can be done in that whole area just by taking one shot from the drone. Just imagine doing that stuff, walking around the area and measuring the height and depth of each and every area and planning something over there, how difficult it can be. And just by using a drone and some sensors with that which can measure the height, and with the help of that height you can measure the type of terrain in which the drone is flying, and you can map the whole area. It's superb if you are using a drone for that purpose. Okay, so drone is having very very bright future. If you want your future to be secure, you must know about drones. Okay, so moving ahead, the main topic why you guys are over here, that is what are the materials required, and how should we look at the material when we want to make a drone. Okay, So these are the some materials that are required to make a drone. You can just note it down somewhere if you want to make a drone in future. So there's a frame, BLDC motor, brushless DC motor, propellers, electronic speed controller. There is a one brain of the robot that is called your controller. Okay. There is a transmitter to transmit the signal from your remote, and then there is a receiver to receive the signal on the drone that you are transmitting from the remote. And most important thing, that is battery. Without battery, none of these things are useful. Okay. So these are the 8 things, 8 main things that you need to make a drone. Now, if you want to make a drone little bit advanced, you can add GPS, you can add different kind of sensors, you can add gyro sensor, you can add a barometer or anything. Whatever things you want to make, you want to do from your drone, you want to add a camera, you can add a camera, anything. Those are extra. These 8 things are required to make a basic drone. If you want to make a basic drone, these 8 things are much more like must be there. Okay. So covering up these things one by one, first we talk about the frame. So when I'm talking about the frame beta, so when you are choosing a frame, you should keep in mind about these few points. First of all, uh, frame is the most basic thing. If you don't have a frame, you cannot, like, it's a structure of our body. Like if you don't have a bones, you cannot walk, you cannot talk, or like you cannot move if you don't have bones. In the same manner, frame is like a skeleton of a drone. Okay. And frame is the thing which is going to carry your your controller, your ESC, your motor, your propeller, your battery, everything. All these things are going to be carried by a frame. The only thing which frame is not carrying is the transmitter, the remote that we are having. Apart from that, everything which is there in drone is being carried by the frame. So frame become very essential unit of if you want to make a drone. Okay. The one thing that you have to keep in your mind always is that when you are designing a frame, your frame should be very strong. Why it should be very strong? Trust me, you might be very expert, no doubt, but whenever you are going to make a drone, whenever you are going to try it, at least 5 to 6 times your drone is going to crash. If the drone is going to crash, it should not break. If it will break, you have to start everything from the starting. So to avoid that, you should keep in mind that your drone is firm. It's solid. Firm means solid. Okay, it should be solid. Okay, so that was all about your this selecting a frame thing. Now the materials that are available in the market which you can opt to make a frame is, so there are the plastic frame, aluminum frame, fiber frame, wood frame. There are 4 basic materials that I am discussing about. There are many other materials also. So I'll discuss about few qualities of each and every material. So if you are going for plastic, very easily available, very cheaply available, very good for a normal person use, like you, for you and me. If you want to make a normal drone, it's good. Plastic is good. The only problem is it's a pollutant. If you are using a plastic, you are polluting the nature. If we talk about the aluminum frame, very strong advantage, very strong. But because it is a aluminum, it is a metal, it is not going to be very lightweight. It's going to be little bit heavy. Third disadvantage, it is not at all balanced. Because it's a metal, it's not balanced at all. It's going like there is a thing which is called turbulence. If you have ever been into a flight, so your flight sometimes turbulates like this in the air. Okay, while it's flying, it sometimes turbulates like this. So same thing happens with your this kind of a frame, metal frame. So the problem with the metal frame is, in case of aluminum, your drone might turbulate like this while flying. Okay, it turbulates a lot like this. So that's why we avoid using metal. Okay, although it is the strongest, your frame would be the strongest one, but we avoid. Next thing, fiber. Best. Best to make your drone. Fiber frame. Nothing can be better than a fiber frame. Very light in weight, very strong. Okay. Only disadvantage, and most important disadvantage, it's going to be very costly. That's why we avoid using fiber frame, because it's very costly. Okay. Not very easily available also, plus very costly. So we avoid it. Next is the best one, and the one that I personally prefer, wooden frame. Why I prefer wooden frame, beta? Because this is something which you can design from your own. Like you can literally take a wood and you can cut and you, why I am talking about this thing, because if you'll see in all the 8 parts required to make a drone, the only thing that you can make is a frame. Apart from frame, everything you are going to outsource from the market basically. So if you want to make a drone, the only thing that you can make on your own is a frame. And in that frame also, if you will make it with the wood, making with the wood will be most easier one for you. So now, what is the disadvantage of the wood? The life of the wood as compared to plastic, aluminum, and fiber is very less. If it will get wet, it will become heavy. The amount of pores in different branches can be different. Like in the amount of air pores in one branch can be more, in other branch can be less. So one branch will be heavy than the other one, although you might have kept the size and all everything same. But from inside, if one wood is porous and one wood is solid, then the solid wood will be heavy. So maintaining that, physics of the balance is very difficult in case of wood. So the review that I can give from all this discussion is that if you want to go for a frame, if you want to make a frame, you can go with the plastic. So there are some kind of a material which are like a plastic and biodegradable also, easily available, like PVC pipes and all also you can use. Like PVC pipe you cut in a same dimension. Okay, you join them in the cross and you can make a drone out of it. That is the easiest way of making a frame of a drone, by using PVC pipe. Okay, so that was something regarding the shape, the frame. Then those are the different types in which you can connect, and the most common type which is being used is a X type. Okay, positive type, extended X, H. Okay, extended X and H, these types are used when you want to add camera and all to your design. But if you want to make a basic drone, then plus type and X type. And how you are going to decide that it is going to be a plus type and X type, that depends on your controller, which controller you are using and how your controller is being, internally programmed. Trust me, 99% of drones are X type. So just ignore plus type, concentrate on X type. Okay, X type is the main thing. So after talking about the configuration, let's come to the constructional techniques that you have to keep in your mind while you are constructing a drone. So the main thing that I want to highlight over here is, like, taking the basic example. Let's talk about the wall clock. Okay, wall clock. So you might have seen that in a wall clock, if it's an analog clock, you might have seen there are 12 numbers. It is starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, and going round till 12. So there are 12 numbers. The clock is covering entire complete circle, that is of 360 degrees. Okay, entire circle of 360 degrees, and there are 12 numbers. So if I want to find out the angle between every two numbers, what should be the angle between every two numbers? So the angle between every two numbers should be, if I mention you the angle between every two numbers, so what you need to do for that? Take entire 360 degree. Okay, take entire 360 degree and divide it by 12, and you'll get 30 degrees as an answer. So if you'll find out, if you do this mathematically, the angle between any two numbers is 30 degrees. Okay, so if you want to measure, if you like, why I am telling you this whole thing is, if you want to design a drone, let's say if you are designing a quadcopter is having 4 legs. Okay, so if you want to know what is going to be the angle between all the 4 legs, you divide 360 by 4, you'll get 90 as an answer. So 90 degrees is the answer. You need to maintain that 90 degree thing. Okay, so in the similar manner, if you want to design, let's say, hexacopter, you divide 360 by 6, 60 degree is the answer. So the angle between each arm, the angle between each arm should be exactly same. Otherwise, your quadcopter is not going to be balanced. Okay. So you have to maintain these few things in just keep these few things in your mind. Then you should the length of your each arm should be same, the width, the height of each arm should be same. All these things you have to maintain in order to make a very balanced quadcopter. Okay. Okay, so apart from this, uh, okay, so yeah, so all these points we have already covered, and in fact, I am going to cover these points later when I am going to discuss these things in detail. So talking about the BLDC motor, that is brushless DC motors. So I'll just show you a video for this. I'll just show you a brushless DC motor. So just give me a second. Just a second. Yeah, I'm just showing you this video of brushless DC motor. So that is the best way of explaining a brushless DC motor. Okay. So this is the thing that you can see on your screen right now. This is a rotor. And now what is a rotor? The rotor is a part which is connected to the center, which like when we are looking at any motor. So in motor, there is a part which is rotating. There's a center part which is rotating from which we are connecting the wheels and all. That part is called rotor. So you have to just look very carefully in this video. So this rotor is being connected by a magnet. So this rotor is a magnetized. Okay, it is magnetized. There is a north pole, there is a south pole, and this is a permanent magnet. Permanent magnet. That permanent magnet means this is going to remain magnetized always. Okay. Now, what are the non-permanent magnets? The question that come in your mind would be, what are the non-permanent magnets? So there are one category of magnet which is called electromagnets. So what are they? There are some, like if you take a iron, okay, if you take iron and if you just what you wind up the wire around that iron. You just wind up the wire around that iron, and when you'll give the power supply to it, it will get magnetized. Okay. So like you took a wire, you winded around a material. Okay, you connected this point to the positive and this point to the negative. Okay, so you might get north pole this side and south pole this side in a magnet. If you reverse the polarity, your poles will also, the magnet poles will also reverse. That's how electromagnet works. So what happens is, so there is a permanent magnet like this, and what we do in the inside of that, we place so many electromagnets. Okay, we just placed like these. There are so many electromagnets, and there is a coiling being done around each and every magnet. Okay, if you give this side positive, that side negative, this is north, this is south. Okay, so this side is positive over here. You can see over here, this side is the positive side. Okay, this side is a negative side. When this is the case, this side is north pole, this side is the south pole. If you reverse the polarity of the wires, the polarity of the magnets will also get reversed. So now how it is working? You just magnetize this into north south, and what will happen, because this is the south and here the permanent magnets is north, they will get attracted to each other, because unlike poles of the magnet attract each other, and your rotor will rotate like this and will come to this position. You change the polarity for next magnet, it again rotates. Then you change the polarity for next magnet, it again rotates. That's how it keeps on rotating, it keeps on rotating, and we get this rotation of the magnet. Okay, this is the case of your brushless DC motor. So your motor is rotating, and that's how we get an output. That's how your brushless DC motor works exactly. So there is no contact. Your permanent magnets are not getting in contact with the these motors. The permanent magnets are not getting in contact with the electromagnets. So there is no friction, nothing, smooth movement, and very powerful movement also. So what are the advantage and disadvantage of a brushless DC motor as compared to normal motor? There is very good speed and very good power. Okay, very easy to control. You just stop the magnetism of the electromagnets, and the motor will stop, because nothing is getting connected and rubbed together. So it is totally noiseless. Very, uh, very least amount of sound is coming from that motor. Okay, and because there is no friction or nothing, so the life duration of the motor is very high as compared to normal motors. because it is not getting that wear and tear property. Nothing is getting, wear and tear, so it is working smoothly. It will work for longer period of time. Now, what are the disadvantages of this? Because it is having so many good properties, the cost will increase. The cost is very high, and the working is little bit complex, so it is not easy to work with your brushless DC motors. So those are the some important points about the brushless DC motor, and here are the some applications of brushless DC motor that you should keep in your mind. So talking about the applications, beta. So although apart from this, also there are many other applications which are around us. So I'm just giving some few examples: mixer, toys, DVD players, Segway, vacuum cleaner, drill machine. Apart from this, exhaust fans, the exhaust fans of your laptops, your mobile phones. So wherever these exhaust fans are there, okay, all these are made up of BLDC. So these are some examples. Okay, now talking about the propellers. So the main thing that you should keep in mind is that propeller, in case of a propeller, your propeller should be made up of fiber. Why fiber? Carbon fiber, because as I told you, carbon fiber is very lightweight. Carbon fiber is very lightweight, and because the advantage with the lightweight is that it is also very strong. Carbon fiber is very lightweight, plus it is very strong. So we don't want our propeller to break. So and the first thing that will, whenever your drone will crash, the first thing that will be impacted by any surface will be a propeller. So propeller has to be very strong and flexible. That's why I tend to use carbon fiber whenever you are making a propeller. Okay, and never ever fly your drone with a bent or a broken propeller. In that case, it will crash and it is very risky. Okay, so never do that. And the set of propellers, for there are two set of propellers, because like in case of like this is a drone, so there are the four motors in a drone. Okay, so one motor at each corner, so there are four motors. So the set of these motors, like these motors, this one and then this one, these motor works clockwise, and this one and this one, these motors go anti-clockwise. Okay, so the propellers required for these two motors which are going clockwise, these propellers are different, and these propellers which are for anti-clockwise motor, these are different. Okay, so these propellers are different, so you have to keep this thing also in mind, that there are two set of propellers, there is not a one set of a propeller. Okay, so I'll just explain you this thing also, how different motors are moving and why is it so. We are going to come on that point also. Okay. Then most important, electronic speed controller. So beta, electronic speed controller is one small device, and the role of this device is that it is going to take a signal from the controller. Okay. It takes the signal from the controller and then it calculates. Okay, I am receiving this much voltage, so I will give this much speed to the motor. So it is actually controlling the speed of the motor as per the instruction given by the controller by changing the voltage. How it is controlling the speed? By changing the voltage. So if the controller says that I want this motor to go on a less speed, so what the ESC of that motor will do, it will reduce the voltage of that motor and the speed will go down. So main role of ESC is to control the speed using electronic medium, that is by controlling the voltage of that motor. Okay, and that's how a ESC is connected between a motor and this GND VCC signal. These three pins are connected to your main controller. So the main controller is giving a signal from here, and ESC is according to the signal, ESC is taking that much voltage from the battery from this side, and then it is supplying the voltage to the motor. That's how the things work. Okay. Now talking about the batteries. So the only type of a battery which can be used to make a drone is a lithium polymer battery, which is very famously known as LiPo, lithium polymer, LiPo battery. Okay, and the role of LiPo, why LiPo battery only? They are very light in weight, very light in weight. And second best advantage, they are rechargeable and they can be recharged very quickly. So because of these two advantages, we are using lipo batteries, very light in weight and rechargeable. Okay. Other batteries with the same, like if you buy a 12 voltage lipo battery and if you buy a 12 voltage another DC battery or something like that, so the weight difference will be almost, you can say, 10:1. That battery is going to be 10 times heavier than the lipo battery, which is not good for our drone. For our drone, we need very lightweight batteries. That's why we are using lipo battery. Okay. So moving ahead, flight controllers. So basically, what are the flight controllers? Flight controllers are going to act as the main brain of your quadcopter or your drone. Flight control is the one which is going to change the signal as per the, which is going to change the output as per the signal is being received from the transmitter. So it is the main controlling unit. If you want to expand the controlling unit, if you want to do other functions, like if you want to use camera, if you want to use GPS sensor, if you want to use borometers, if you want to use gyroscopes, so if you want to use all these things, where are you going to connect these things? You are going to connect to the flight control, because flight control is the main brain of the drone. Like we are having the brain, all our sensors are connected to the brain. In the same way, flight controller is the main brain of the drone. Whichever things you want to use, you have to connect it to the flight controller. Okay. So you have to keep this thing also in mind. Okay. So just give me a second. Okay. Okay, so apart from the flight controllers, beta, so okay, so I already told you what are the different flight controllers. Now talking about different kind of flight controllers which are easily available in the market in India. Some of these are NASA M-Lite, Hobby King, famously known just as KK board. Okay, KK, Arduino Uno, very commonly available and cheapest of all, Arduino. Then Pluto, which is manufactured by IIT Bombay students. Then LHI, and then Tau Labs. Okay, so these are some kind of controllers which are there in Indian market. So the controller which require programming among these, so which require coding, is Arduino Uno. That's why it is the cheapest one, because in that you need to do all the coding on your own to make a drone, and that is extremely difficult, but not impossible. Okay, so if you want to make your own drone in a cheaper cost, you can go for Arduino Uno. Apart from this, easily available NASA, KK, Pluto, they don't require that much of coding. They only require little bit calibration. And if you if you do that little bit calibration, you'll be able to you'll be able to make a very nice drone just by doing a little bit calibration. So calibration is just setting up the sensors and motors, and you just fix okay. So the controller is already made for, like, I can fly 4 motors. So what we need to do, we just need to define to that okay, this is your first motor, second motor, third motor. Here they are connected. Okay, you calibrate the value of sensor and all. Calibration done, you fly. Simple. Okay, no coding is required. If you want to do coding and you want to make in very cheap rate, you can go for Arduino Uno. In C language, the coding is being done in C language. So you can, if you know C language, you can go for Arduino. Okay. So apart from this, okay, moving ahead, as I told you. Okay, so okay, guys, is my voice audible to everyone? Can you just tell me? Can you just give a response in the chat box? Yes or no? Can you just give yes if my voice is audible? Okay, I'm
Prabhas,
not
your voice
getting.
is audible.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, thank you.
I have
So,
disabled the chat. That's why I not.
okay. Thank you, sir. So, okay, talking about the different forces that are acting on during the flight is, so in case of airplane, as I told you, there are different kind of forces acting in case of a flight and in case of a quadcopter. So in case of a flight, so when we talk about these 4 forces, lift, weight, drag, thrust. Okay. So drag is the force which acts in the motion in the like direction of your motion. So if you are going up, the drag is acting up. Okay. If you are going forward, the drag is acting forward. Thrust is something which acts in the opposite direction. So thrust is actually what, like if you want to move, if you want to walk, so what are you doing? You are pushing the ground back. So what are you doing? You're pushing the ground back. The force is acting backward side. And because you are pushing the ground back, you are moving forward. Same thing is over here. Like the plane wants to fly like this. So what are the engines of the plane doing? They are pushing. Their engines are giving the thrust on the backward side, and then plane is going up. Like when the rocket launch is taking place. So the gases are going down so that the rocket can go up. Same cases with a quadcopter. Air is being pushed down. That is working as a thrust, and then the quadcopter is going up. That is called lift. Okay. So in case of airplane, all the four forces are acting in different direction. But in case of quadcopter beta, there are only two directions mostly. The thrust and weight is acting down. Drag and lift is acting up. That's how the forces are working in case of a quadcopter. Okay. So talking about the orientations of motors, as I told you, if you consider this as a quadcopter, so I already told you this motor, this one, and this one. Sorry, this one and this one are clockwise. Okay, and this motor and this one are anti-clockwise. Now, why is that? Why is that? So the exact answer about this is, so you might have heard about, like, if you might have or you might have not, I don't know about that, but most probably you might have heard about the Newton's third law, action reaction. Now, what does that third law say? So that third law says that every action has equal and opposite reaction. Okay. So just imagine if your all the motors will move in clockwise direction. So there, because they're moving in clockwise is an action. So there has to be some reaction for that. What is the reaction going to be? The whole quadcopter will move in anti-clockwise direction. And we don't want our quadcopter to be rotating in air. We don't want that. How are we going to balance it? Okay. So that's why we cannot move all the four motors in same direction. Because if all the four motors will move in anti-clockwise direction, then the quadcopter will be rotating in anti-clockwise direction. So that's why we cannot move all the four motors in same direction. Okay. So I was just like I just got cut off from the session. Sorry. So we don't want all the four motors to move in same direction. So that's why what we have done, we have made it in such a way that two opposite motors will move in clockwise and two opposite motors will move in anti-clockwise direction, so that the whole things will be managed, and that the action of these two motors will be cancelled by the action of other two motors, and so there won't be any reaction. Okay. So that's how the whole thing is staying in balance. So you have to keep that in mind, that whatever number of motors you are using, your action force should be always cancelled. There should be no reactive force. If there is any reactive force, then there is going to be consequences for that. So you have to just keep these things in mind. Apart from this, when I'm talking about the movement, so you can just so these are the four motors. Wherever you can see these circles are the motors. So the green circle represent that there is a normal speed. Okay. And red represent there is a high speed. So just imagine this is a drone and there are the four corners. Four corners are motors. Okay. These four corners are the motors. So when all the four motors are slow, normal, your drone will come down slowly, slowly. When all the four motors are moving high, that is the throttle, I'm talking about this condition over here. So when all the four motors are moving high, that is red means high speed, your drone will go up, straight up. Okay. So you need to move all the four motors slow to come down, all the four motors high to go up. Okay. Now talking about the pitch. Now pitch was, if you remember, pitch was responsible to make your drone go forward and backward. So if you want to go forward in your direction, if I want to come in your direction, my back two motors will run fast and front two motors will run normal. So when my back two motors will run fast, my drone will bend like this and then it will come forward. If I want to go back, my front two motors will run fast, back two motors will run slow. So my drone will become like this and it will go back. Okay, that's how it is going forward and backward. And the same thing is happening for right and left. If I want to go in this direction, if I want to go in, okay, just coming this. If I want to go in this direction, so these motors will go on fast, so it will go up like that and it will move like that. And the vice versa for other direction. So that is your roll. This is roll. Okay. This was pitch. Okay. And talking about yaw, as I already told you, if your clockwise motors, whichever your clockwise motors are, the speed of clockwise motor is high. So if speed of clockwise motor is high, so the reaction of clockwise motor will be high. So your drone will rotate in anti-clockwise direction. Okay, it will rotate on its axis if your clockwise motors are high. If your anti-clockwise motors are high, then it will rotate in clockwise direction. The whole drone will rotate in anti-clockwise direction. That's how the physics of all these three orientations are working. Okay, apart from that, so that was like most of the things about the drones. Now only three four more things are left. We are just going to cover them. Okay, some few important factors that you should keep in mind when you are going to market to purchase something. So drone thrust to weight ratio. So what is thrust to weight ratio talking about? So whenever you are purchasing a motor, just keep in mind, just ask from the vendor that what is the thrust of that motor. Okay, so what is the thrust exactly? So to make a quadcopter, a drone should be this much strong, the motor should be this much strong that when a motor is moving, it should produce so much power that it can lift twice the weight of that own motor. So if motor is having 5 kg, motor weight is 5 kg, it should produce a thrust of 10 kg. Okay, so 2 is to 1 ratio should be there. If you are having 4 motors with 2 is to 1 ratio, you can make a very good drone. So if you want to make a normal drone, you go with the ratio of 2 is to 1. If you want to make a drone for racing purpose, okay, or for some like racing purpose, or to very professional use, okay, you can go with a thrust to weight ratio of 4 is to 1 or 5 is to 1. Those drones are going to be real swift, very fast and very quick. Okay, so just keep these things in mind whenever you go to market for purchasing a motor. Then now talking about the drone weight, what is a drone weight? So beta, as I told you, in a drone there is a frame, okay, propellers, motors, okay, the landing, you make a landing gears, okay, all these combined forms a drone weight. The battery is separately counted, okay, that is called a battery weight. Whatever the weight of the battery is, that is called a battery weight. And if you are adding some additional thing, if you are adding camera or any GPS or whatever, that is going to be equipment weight. Or if you want to deliver something, let's say I want to deliver food package and the weight of my food package is 5 kg, so that will be counted in an equipment weight, it won't be counted in a drone weight. So you have to just keep sure about these things, that if you are calculating the drone weight, remove the battery, remove the equipment. Whatever the left things are, whatever the weight of that thing will be, that is known as your drone weight. Okay. Now, moving ahead, very important, very important. Just concentrate on this kV. So whenever you are going to purchase a motor in the market, there are going to be these kV readings on your motor. Now, what is exactly a kV reading is? Normally people think the kV means kilovoltage. No, it's not like that. Okay, what is kV is, when you are giving 1 volt energy to your motor, the number of rotations your motor is able to take place in 1 minute, that is the kV. If you are saying that on a motor it is written 2000 kV, like in this image it is written kV is equals to 2000, that means when 1 volt of power supply to this motor will be given, it will rotate 2000 times in a minute. That what you mean by a kV reading. Okay, so just assume if you are having a motor of 980 kV, okay, or if the last point of the slide you can see example, if you are having a motor of 980 kV and in that 980 kV you give a power supply of 11.1 voltage. So number of rotations per minute will be 10,878, close to 11,000. Just imagine 11,000 rotations in a minute. So that's kind of a speed we need to make a real strong drones. Okay, so that was about the KV. Now going through the DGCA guidelines, if you want to make a drone, fly a drone, you should know about these things. First thing, your drone comes in 4 categories. It is divided in 4 categories. There is a nano drone, micro, small, sorry, 5 categories: nano, micro, small, medium, large. Nano is less than 250 grams, very, very, very light. The mini drones you see in Big Bazaar and all, they are in category of nano drones. Then micro drones till 2 kg, small drones till 25 kg, medium till 150 kg, and large is greater than 150, which is being normally used by defense purposes, which are carrying missiles in them. So those are the large drones. Okay. So these are the few categories. So there are some rules and regulations according to each and every category. So you cannot fly a drone. To fly a drone, you need to have a permission. To get the permission, you can go on a digital platform and you can search about digital sky platform. Over there, you can apply for the application permission, and this sky digital sky platform is connected to your local police authorities, and they will come and they'll check and they'll see if they can permit you. They'll permit you. Okay. Then for nano drones, permission is not required. Okay, permission is not required for nano drones until you are flying it to height of 50 feet. More than 50 feet, if you are flying a nano drone, then you need a permission. Okay, in same is the with micro drones. If you are flying more than 200 feet, you need a permission. For small drone, more than 450 feet, you need a permission. Okay, so you need to take a permission in these cases. Okay, so apart from this, what are the areas where you can fly and what are the areas where you cannot fly? So the restrictions are close to airports, international borders, coastal lines, okay? The government buildings, wherever the official buildings or these type of places are there, you cannot fly a drone over there. You have to keep that thing in mind. Okay, so you cannot just go anywhere and fly a drone. You have to keep these things in mind. And most importantly, if you are in a car or ship or you're moving, and from that moving place you are flying a drone, not allowed. Whenever you are flying a drone, you have to stay at one position. Okay, and if you violate any of these laws related to restrictions or permission or anything, under the Act of Aircraft Act 1934, police can arrest you. So make sure you are not breaking these laws. Just keep in mind. Apart from that, bit of that was all the information that I wanted to share regarding the drones with you. Now, Makers Duniya is organizing, classes on these courses: Android, electronics, robotics, Python, C coding, website, game development, and there are so many different type of courses, data handling, and we are also making drones in 3D. Everything we are covering all these things. Face detection. You can just imagine you are sitting with your pet and your laptop is telling you, okay, you are sitting with a cat or you are sitting with a dog or anything. So if you want to register yourself in these courses, if you want to learn these courses, there are the three, like you will get 3 certificates in every course. You will get basic level, intermediate, advanced, and if you want to get that certified courses, if you want to enroll in this, there are the registration form links in the chat box and in the description if you are watching this on the YouTube. So you can head to that and you can just register yourself for free demo. Just attend the free demo, and after attending the free demo, you can opt for whichever course you want. Okay, apart from this, if you have any queries, you can drop in the chat box. You can drop your queries in like if you are watching this video on YouTube, you can drop it in comments, and I'll go through each and every query. I'll give your responses, and if I find out any query very interesting, I'll make a separate video on that. So if you want to discuss anything related to drone, you can drop your queries in the comments. I'll go through each and every query and I'll drop responses to that queries. Okay, and every week we are going to conduct a free webinar on these topics, maybe on Python, app development, robotics, electronics, C language, or anything, any topic, any latest, any technology based topic. We are going to conduct free webinars. If you want to get an access to all the webinars, if you want to get access to all the webinars, subscribe our channel, subscribe Makers Duniya YouTube channel, because all the webinars are going to go live on YouTube channel. So just go and subscribe our YouTube channel, because each and every thing is going to be uploaded on our YouTube channel. So you can stay connected with us, and a lot more sessions like these will be organized on our YouTube channel. So please subscribe if you want to stay connected with us. Okay. Okay, so I'm just waiting for any queries. If you have any queries, you can drop it in the chat box, guys, if you are on the Zoom. And if you are on the YouTube, you can just drop your queries in the comments, and I'll go through your comments and I'll give your responses over there. If I feel any question to be really very good, I'll shoot a separate video on that. And one more important thing, I didn't covered this transmitter and receiver, because like if we talk about transmitter receiver, so there are different media. Like if you make a drone on Bluetooth, there are different set of transmitter receiver which work on Bluetooth frequency. If you make on Wi-Fi, different set. If you work on radio frequency, different set. So depending on the medium that you are using, there are different set of transmitter and receiver. So I was not able to discuss about transmitter and receiver. Maybe I can record a separate video on transmitter receiver. Okay. Okay, guys, there is one link being shared in the chat box. That is a feedback link. Please go on that link and you can just go, you can click, you can write down your feedback, and you can just drop your feedback on that link. So we'll get the feedback of our sessions, and if the feedback is good, if you want us to organize more and more sessions like these, we can organize the sessions like these. Okay, so sir, can we make waterproof drones? So yes, you can make waterproof drones, and there are already so many drones which are waterproof. How to make a pentacopter? So, making a pentacopter is little difficult, because if we are having, if we are having motors in even numbers, it is easy to balance. If we are having motors in the odd numbers, then the thing is that the some motor has to be little bit strong